What's up, guys? It's Sweet JP here, back with another vid. This one is kind of going to be on my own spreadsheet, anyways, and currently how I'm saving up each week. Now, some numbers are just going to be a little bit inflated because I want a bit of a buffer in some of these for when going into college. So basically, we have car insurance here, which is, something you can put away kind of weekly. You can do the one lump sum payments or do monthly. I prefer to pay it all off at once because then there's less interest to pay. So car insurance I've kind of already paid off a year in advance. I'm like well a year ahead, but you'd want to be putting say 20, 25 away a week, whatever your insurance is, or a tenner. I run a beefy old car, so it's about 20 quid a week for me. And my car tax, as you can see, all that's kind of needed for me to get to work, considered essential. I'd consider gym membership essential. And just little things here that you can kind of see. Pills are just like supplements like magnesium and shit. You can reduce, add as you wish, but try to keep it to the bare minimum. Like Spotify and all, I'd consider non-essential. You can always cut that out and other stuff. But this is how I kind of split up my thing. I even do it down to the NCT. I've paid that off, but that would have been 60 quid for the year in Ireland. That's for, you get your car checked once a year, all that good stuff. Vapes is, I have a little side business. I just sell vapes, and that brings me like a minimum of 20 quid per week. You don't really need to be giving yourself more than 50 quid or 100 quid pocket money spending per week if you want to go enjoy yourself. You can even, if you want to even cut that down and just live off the bare essentials and not spend anything spare, you can do that too. This is how I keep track of everything. And you'll probably want to do a bit of trial and error with your groceries and all that, and your car fuel, how much you're spending per week or range even. But I set it at a number that I'm usually, there might be a fiver spare or even a tenner. So you're better off starting higher, cutting everything down week by week, see what you need. Even a buffer and your fuel repaired be nice. So I also do my Revolut volts, all of these. So like my service car would be wired weekly, for example. If I got my paycheck into a Revolut savings vault now, because that gets you 1.7% interest per year, which is better than the standard pockets. So not much to talk about there. That's just where it's stored and where you want to put it. And it's just easy for organization. But now here what's interesting is I divide everything into layers, as you can see here. What I have is I pay stuff ahead, like sorry, my bad. I have different layers. So once you've kind of paid off, maybe any debt you have or anything you want to do, or you've paid ahead your car insurance to reduce weekly costs, I do more than a year or two ahead, so I'm fine on that. And especially I want as minimum outgoing expenses as possible when I'm in college. I don't get too much help from the government, like 100 quid per week. So I also got to take that into consideration. You might also have to work a part-time job. But at the top, I would have layer 1. If I have spending money as well, this is an interesting one. I would consider that in the layers. So the top layer would be, the pocket money I give myself each week. Say it's 100 quid, right? You spend 50 quid of that. You're left with 50 quid, right? So what do? So you'll have a look at layer 2, and you'd be like, okay, that goes into just spending and spending or opportunity fund, and that'll basically be what you want to buy for yourself, albeit for having spare liquid cash when you want to invest into the market when there's a big dip in the S&P. Now you're still putting away your weekly amount, and then below that would be like you could have a holiday fund as well. You could split that 50 quid into 80-20. That'd both be in the layer 2 opportunity fund or, holidays. I put 20% to a holiday fund, and that 80% is put into that opportunity fund, which is, like I said, used for investments and everything. It's also used, if there's a really good social outing you want to go to and you really don't want to miss. Ideally, you don't want to be spending all your pocket money each week, so it can kind of drip feed down into that. Okay, so at layer 3, you're going to have, your emergency fund, which could be instantly liquid, not instantly liquid. I like to put it into my American bonds, which accrues 4% each year. You're at least beating, inflation and all that good stuff with a percent or two left over. And that's going to be used if something goes wrong. you know, or your car repairs completely out and you need to repair your car more. Ideally, you don't want that. You just want to be using the car repair fund. But, you know, you don't know what goes wrong. You fall out of a job, you need to make up your weekly expenses. Have the targeted funds below that for car repairs, everything like that. Grocery fund, which is only used for specific reasons. And then I would also have the very bottom layer, which would be my stocks and stuff. It's the least liquid, you know, it needs to stay in there. You're not pulling that out. That's for fucking sure. Not anytime soon, anyways. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what that's used for. And honestly, with this whole kind of thing, the main message I want to get across is reduce your liabilities as much as possible. Drive the shitty fucking Corolla. Reduce your car tax, car insurance, and car repairs as much as you can. Like, instead of a old Mercedes, if I was driving, you know, a Toyota Corolla, I would probably only be putting a 10 or 15 a week for car repairs. So there's another way to reduce your cost on top of, if you want to reduce also your food and a few other outgoing expenses where possible, of course. So that's how I would kind of structure everything with those different layers, and the top layer being the most liquid, bottom layer being the least liquid. And that's all I really have to report on anyways. I think I'm going to start doing videos at the end of each month to kind of talk about where I'm at myself financially and how I'm doing. So if you guys would be interested in that, please do let me know. If not, just tell me to fuck off. It's one or the other, but let me know how you guys kind of do it. I would love to see some comments, even if there's just one or two of yous, you know. And sorry I didn't post kind of, you know, the other week. Things just been hectic. I'm just on a big work block right now, but I'll get more into that in another video. So yeah, see you guys.